everyone. Thank you for attending my talk. You're at the table, so now what? My name is Christina Thomas, and I'm coming live from Kingston, Jamaica. I just want to say thank you to the Techno Day team for inviting me to speak. I'm super excited to be here. I've been a woman in tech for over 15 years, and it's something that I've always felt great to be an advocate for a woman being in the room in IT teams. So thanks. So let's go ahead and start. So, a little bit about me. I have over 15 years of experience in the consulting and telco industry, and my focus is all about helping teams and systems examine themselves and focusing on continuous improvement and how to achieve those goals. My purpose at this point in time is all about fostering the right environments for teams and creating an environment where I can serve and lead with humility and kindness. So, what does it mean to be at the table? So, being at the table is when you get an opportunity, whether it be in your career or something in a community activity, or just a goal that you've set for yourself and you've now achieved that goal. And let's say you're an SME in a tech team, or let's say you're in a management role. But being at the table is all about how you show up and how you're authentic. So in this talk, we're going to explore what the things that you can do to be authentic and how to tell your story and create belonging in your teams. So we're going to explore one, being authentic, how to choose to lead, and belonging through connectedness. And this is all about how you can show up, find your voice, and importantly, deliver based on your why. So, what does being authentic mean? I mean, your most important role in this world is to become who you're meant to be. When you understand the values that drive you and you focus on your why and your purpose, then you'll be leading a life that you're truly happy with because you're focused on your goals. So set your intentions and become who you're meant to be. When you're living a life of purpose, you realize that, there is room for everyone at the table. And that's when you're going to realize that it's not a competition and you don't need to compare yourself to anybody. It's your journey and it will take as long as it takes. But as long as you show up and you're ready to tell your story, that's how you're going to shine and you're going to succeed and you can help others along the way. So, how do you tell your story? People remember stories, and that's how you create connections. You create connections with other people by telling your stories, inviting them in to get an understanding of you. You are unique, and your experiences are solely yours. It's up to you to share your skills and talents with the world and be radical in your transparency. Be curious about others and create that belonging by, being kind, showing humility when you're in different circumstances. And that's how you create an environment of belonging and connectedness. When you're authentic, you will find advocates and allies who will speak up for you when you're not in the room. So a little bit about my story. So this picture is of me over 15 years ago at the start of my career when I was just in my early 20s, starting in the IT department. And you can see my eyes are closed in this picture. So this picture is also the pre-digital camera era, where once you take that picture, it's taken and then you just have to see what it looks like after the film is developed. I started my career in customer service, and that was purely because that was the first job that I got. I had a comp sci degree and I was applying to roles, and I said, hey, I'm starting in customer service, and I started there. But I got an opportunity to go into the IT department by simply having a convo with the finance manager. I went there to ask a question about a discrepancy in my paycheck, and he found me really insightful and, the query and being curious about how things worked. And he said, oh, okay. So he asked a little bit about me, and I said, oh, yeah, I have a computer science degree. And he went, and you're working in customer service? And I said, well, I wanted an opportunity, and I started in customer service. And through that conversation of sharing my story with the finance manager, he introduced me to the IT manager, and I had an interview in a couple of weeks. So, You can't underestimate how important it is about, being curious, showing up, asking questions, and you will meet people who want to help you on your journey. I've gotten used to being the only woman in the room at a lot of technical meetings. And as a result of that, I was able to be good at advocating for myself. And you can advocate for yourself and truly become authentic when you understand who you are and you develop the emotional intelligence that is necessary in order to be authentic. So, how do you develop emotional intelligence? So, emotional intelligence, that is all about, these four different aspects that you can focus on: self awareness, focusing on your why, social skills, and empathy. Self awareness is having a clear understanding of who you are, your triggers, your emotions, how to kind of control your emotions if you need to, taking the time to reflect on your situations and how you feel in that situations. It's all about also knowing what your skills and strengths are, and also understanding that as a human you have limitations, and if you're aware of what your limitations are, you can also find members in your team who don't have those limitations and work with them accordingly. Focusing on your why is when you are driven by your values and your purpose. You know these are the things that you want to do, to always show up and set standards when you're working with teams, how you communicate, how you show empathy in the environment that you're in. That's all about focusing on your why. Social skills. You can build relationships through respect, openness, communicating with vulnerability, and eventually this will create trust and belonging in your teams and when you're working with different people in the organizations. So, social skills is a really, really important thing that you need to develop in terms of your emotional intelligence and helping you to also be just authentic. And empathy. Empathy is, we don't all have to go through experiences to show empathy. And showing empathy is just having an understanding and an appreciation that other people are going through different things and that their feelings are justified and you can imagine yourself in their place. And that's how you show empathy. And once you focus on looking at all of these four areas to develop your emotional intelligence, that's how you truly show up. You tell your story and you're curious about others. And that's how you be authentic in any situation when you are now working in an organization or you have a seat at the table. Choose to lead. What does it mean to choose to lead? So it's when you think about it, it's this question of people ask themselves, "Ooh, can I be a leader?" But we all know the kind of leaders who have impacted us, who have inspired us. And if we can be that same inspiration to somebody else in our team, a colleague, a friend, then choosing to lead is simply about what you're doing to step up and to help voices in your organizations, the ones who are introverted, the ones who've not yet developed their confidence. How can you help them to speak up by being an advocate for them, being an ally? You can become a leader that helps to change the culture in any organization or in any community by understanding the importance of vulnerability and kindness. And every great leader knows the importance of vulnerability and the importance of it when you step up and choose to lead. You can become the kind of leader who create an environment that is positive, an environment where people are having fun and they're showing up and they're being themselves. A great leader can create a culture of belongingness and where every voice in that room feels comfortable to speak up and there's psychological safety. So I love this picture right here of this little girl because it shows you that, she's so wide-eyed and looking at the world with curiosity and wonder. And a lot of us, when we were a lot younger, we had the ideals of, hey, I want to be prime minister, I want to be president, I want to do something that's impacting in the world. And that's how kids are. We approach the world with curiosity and bravery. We're not risk averse yet because we just see everything with wonderment. And if we all realize that we are all our ancestors' wildest dreams, my grandparents could never imagine the kind of life that I've led and the career that I've had so far, working for a big consultancy, working in London. I started working in Jamaica, and I would have never, even in my 20s, thought, hey, I would have done so many things in my career. And when you choose to lead, that's when you go, what am I going to do to help others in the room? How can I advocate for other people who haven't found their voice yet? So you can become a leader who helps, and you can become that leader who, by learning how to engage with people and by being authentic and telling your story. So, how do you become an engaging leader? It's important to assume positive intent from others. People want to be seen and heard, and assuming positive intent allows you to give people grace. It allows you to understand that people are dealing with different things in their lives. There are lots of things that we don't know about. So don't ever just assume that somebody is not responding to you or they've missed a deadline just because they're kind of not being responsible. Assume positive intent and wait to hear. And that's what it leads into holding your judgment. Hold your judgment. Be curious and allow situations to unfold. Give people the time and space necessary for them to want to share their story with you. You can show up, be authentic, and you can share your story, but you also have to be curious about others and share and let them share their story with you when they're ready. So, constructive feedback. Everybody knows when you start your career, feedback is one of the most essential things that help you along the way. And when you get constructive feedback from a leader who shows interest in you, that helps you to feel motivated that you can continue along your path to pursue your goals and continue along your journey. Sanity check your inner voice. So it's very important to be kind, and sanity checking your inner voice means putting a filter on the things that you say. If you would not say that to a friend, a family member, or to yourself, then you should not be saying it to a colleague. You should sanity check your inner voice and focus on if you are doing it with kindness. Practicing self-care. In order to be an engaging leader who continues to strive to help your team, you need to practice self-care. You won't be able to show up, to tell your story and be authentic if you're not taking the time to, not so that you don't burn out, so that you have a time to journal, meditate, and just reflect on how you're feeling in that space at any given time. And that's how you become an engaging leader, by looking at all of these different things and applying them when you're in a specific environment. Belonging through connectedness. There's something about sharing stories that helps to build a sense of connectedness with your team. And when you're sharing those stories, that's how you can truly create an environment where trust grows. There's a quote by Dr. Maya Angelou that says, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you make them feel. And that's very, very true. I can, to this very day, still remember the leaders who showed an impact, who showed interest, should I say, in my life, and were curious about me, and they made me feel like I belonged on the team. And those are leaders who I will never forget because they helped me on my journey and they gave me positive feedback and just helped me along the way. So, in order to create connectedness, how can you foster that? Well, you foster connectedness by being authentic and vulnerable. So, all of the things that we've spoken about before, about sharing your story, about being kind, and being radically transparent and vulnerable when you're working with your teams and in the community. You foster connectedness by being curious about others. allowing people the time and space to get comfortable and to give you their trust and their willingness to tell you their story because they realize that you have turned up, you have been vulnerable, you've been clear, and you are willing to help everyone on the team and every voice to find, that little strength to share their stories. So networking is one of the most important things to help you to find advocates and allies within any space that you are, in any human space. So this is not simply within an organization. You need to network within your community so that you can find the opportunities that you're interested in. We should never exist in a silo, and we will find true great opportunities by networking and talking to people and sharing your stories. So, attending social events and conferences, I know sometimes when we have had a very long work day, we just think to ourselves, oh, I don't want to go to that meetup afterwards, or I'm a little bit tired. But attending social events helps you to just create that belonging, to show that you're not just focused purely on work, but you're also interested in being with your colleagues and in your community and finding out more, and also just having that social kind of relaxed time and downtime with your team. And that's an important aspect of building and of creating connectedness. Virtual coffees, invite people out for virtual coffees, since we're currently in the times that we are. But now things are opening up again, ask people out for real coffees. When you do this, you can, find people who you're interested in hearing their stories, asking people to be your mentor. This is how you create connectedness throughout a team or anywhere where you are. And this is how you show up, you tell your story, you are authentic, and you choose to lead by helping others within that organization to help them to find their voice and their confidence. And you create connectedness by fostering all of these different aspects that I've mentioned right here. So I have a few bit of resources here and just a little things that you can kind of take a look at in terms of exploring afterwards if you want to learn more about being authentic and choosing to lead and creating connectedness within your teams. And I just want to say thank you again to the Techno Day team for inviting me. This is a little bit about me. So if anybody wants to connect with me on LinkedIn, please connect. And I just want to, finish with, remember, we are all awesome, and it's up to us to show up, to tell our stories, to be kind and vulnerable, and, become the kind of leaders that we would have always wanted when we started all our journey, and to create an environment where, as women in tech, we are helping others along their journey and, just helping everyone to find their voice. Thank you.